I represent the Yay area.
Hey, what's going on? It's DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay, coming at you once again with another Flow Improved as I'm out here riding the back roads of Louisiana. You know, I just couldn't let the week go by without coming back at you with another inspired, analytical magnification of a song, verses, and so forth. So look, I'm just out here riding, and this song was on my mind, and being that my first few videos was in the Bay Area, I thought we might maybe step out just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Take a listen to somebody from somewhere else or whatnot. And before I actually get into this video or get into this song, I just want to say that I've been a lover of hip hop. I know it's 50 years old as of 2023. Started in 1973, the same year that I was born. Matter of fact, I just celebrated my 50th birthday, you know what I mean? And so I'm thankful for that. But you know, I can't stress enough how hip hop is very instrumental. It's a part of our upbringing, if you will. You know what I mean? Just like the street we lived on, it's the music that we listen to. It's as important as that. The address we live in and everything else is still connected to the music that we listen to. You know what I mean? It's just a part of our lifestyles, the soundtrack to everyone's movie, so to speak. And again, if this was a movie, it's called Flow Improved, and just putting different videos and everything together. I appreciate folks who took a look at it, who liked, who shared, and who have subscribed to the channel. I appreciate y'all very much. And I plan to continue to come with some of the best songs, some of the greatest flows that I've ever heard, you know what I mean? So this one is no different. I've already started, since I'm in the theme of talking about life's decisions, you know what I mean? A couple of weeks ago, we went with Don't Do It by Richie Rich, you know what I'm saying? And then the next week, it was Consequences by Filthy Phil, rapper from my hometown, Richmond, California. So look, we're going to step out the Bay a little bit, take a trip down the highway, and listen to another rapper who, once again, is talking about the choices and the consequences, the repercussions of those choices that we make. You get what I'm saying? So look, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop into it. This is Ice-T and Pain.
Deuce revolver was my problem solver. Had a deaf girl, really didn't want to involve her in the life of a gangster. Used to rob banker, but now I'm locked up. I'm just a punk low gangster. Jail cells know me too damn well. Seems like I built on earth my own personal hell. No matter how I turn some.
So all right, we get started with the song, and he starts it off. He said Deuce revolver was his problem solver. You know what I mean? So anytime it was a problem, I mean he handled it with a gun. And in this case, a deuce, you know what I'm saying? And had a deaf girl, and he really didn't want to involve her with what he was talking about, with the life he was living, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, for a lot of females, they just kind of come to grips with the with the fact that comes with the territory, you know what I mean? So, as he starts rhyming, Ice-T, first of all, gotta give him a shout out. He's one of the pioneers for gangster rap, particularly on the West Coast. He's got his most famous or most popular song on this album is called 6 in the Morning, and the same cadence is used as Ice Cube admits. He used the same cadence when he wrote Boys in the Hood for Eazy-E. So if you think about it, it starts off a cappella, 6 in the morning, police at my door, and Ice Cube did the same thing for Eazy-E. I forgot how it's cruising down the street in my 6'4". I drew blank for a moment, cruising down the street in my 6'4". So look, the recipe was written, and he already knew that what he was producing was good. So he started this song off the same way. Deuce revolver was my problem solver. Had a deaf girl, really didn't want to involve her. In the life of a gangster, used to rob bankster. And he's writing it because the next verse says, or the next sentence says, he's writing like he's from jail, like he's in jail, right? So, but now I'm locked up. I'm just a punk little rankster. You know what I mean? And then the next sentence goes, jail cells know me too damn well. So just listen to him. It's just definitely some skills in the rhymes that he write, but he's saying something at the same time, you know what I mean? So let's go from here.
How I always fell, cause a lot of players got this story to tell. No matter how old roll, you simply can't out personal hell. No matter how I climbed, somehow I always fell. Cause a lot of players got this story to tell. No matter how old roll, you simply can't out win. It's always fun in the beginning, but it's pain. Pain.
So remember I talked about having a message in the song, and he's like, no matter how good it may seem, no matter how fun it is in the beginning, there's always pain in the end. And I'll be honest with you, I just noticed this first time, he said he started off as a used to rob bankster. You know what I mean? And so it's crazy the way the story is unfolding, right? This is the life of a criminal, basically, and that's what he did, right? He starts off as a used to rob bankster in his own words. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind as we cut to the next verse. Hard labor. Officer says search you. Talking about hard labor.
Big trouble. In and out of institutions ever since I was a minor, but now I'm on the bricks.
So listen, as I just stated, I've never noticed before how he talked about being a bank robber first, right? So when he starts this verse, it makes even more sense, right? He said I'm in and out of institutions ever since I was a minor. You know what I mean? So again, it's just Ice-T is one of the most underrated storytellers ever. You know what I mean? It seems like he always had a story to tell. If you go back and listen to Drama, if you listen to what's the other song? There's a song called Power Way. Actually, that's straight flowing. There's Drama, there's High Rollers, and again, it's just stories that he's telling, right? This particular one is about himself, though. So I'm gonna go ahead and push play and let the verse roll a little bit.
Deep in the mix, crime squad searching hard for some new street trick. I think I'll join again.
So maybe what I should do is just bring it back a little bit. And as you can see, I'm rolling today, so I'm not working with my equipment. But I found a better way or better equipment, so I'm just gonna rewind it back as best as I can. And we're gonna go back to this part again because there's something I need to point out.
Big trouble, finding in and out of institutions ever since I was a minor, but now I'm on the bricks, deep in the mix. Crime squad searching hard for some new street trick.
So if you listen to what he said, he went to jail for robbing a bank. If you remember a couple of videos before, I was talking about how when a person go to jail, he get out and he don't want to, and he's on parole. You don't want to get caught doing the same thing that you did before. So I don't know if that's his thought process, but what he does say is now I'm on his bricks and I'm deep in the mix. The bricks is the streets. That's another way of saying it, particularly in the 70s. They call it the bricks, and I'm deep in the mix. That's a saying from the 80s, right? That means I'm out on the scene. I'm out here in the traffic. I'm a part of whatever it is that's going on. You see what I'm saying? And he said, crime smart. I'm searching hard for a new street trick. You see what I'm saying? So he don't want to rob banks now. He didn't done his time for that. So, you know, a lot of people, when they go to jail, they feel like they learned their lesson, so they're going to come out and they're going to do something different. So now I'm searching hard for a new street trick.
I think I'll join the gang, sling a little cane, put a beeper on my belt and get myself a name. Fresh.
I think I'll join the gang, sling a little cane, because that's what's happening, right? This song was dropped in 86. So crack is fresh on the scene. Slang a little cane, put a beeper on my belt, and give myself a name. And as he goes into the next sentence, fresh sneaker silk shirts, 24/7 work. And it's important that I say this before he says 9 to 5 to survive, as if he's asking a question, right? And he's like, he's thinking he's coming from your point of view because he already know. Why don't you just get a job? And he's like 9 to 5 to survive. You gotta be a jerk. You get what I'm saying? So let's let it roll.
The silk shirts, 24/7 work, 9 to 5 to survive. You gotta be a jerk. I clocked you right. Yes, I was born to
McDonald's, that wouldn't work. No way. Because he used to having money. You see what I'm saying? So McDonald's, what was it, $3.35 an hour in 1986, something like that? I think that's being generous. That probably was close to $2.25 or something like that an hour. Not no real money.
Money haver, but not the last laugher. For me, and for me, makes me no autograph. I cussed it.
So he said, I'm a big money haver, but not the last laugher. In other words, you know, the crime, the consequence for the crime is going to get the last laugh. That's what he's saying. But he also saying that he knows that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big money haver, but not the last laugher. For me, and for me, makes me no autographer. You know what I'm saying? So what he's saying is, I'm infamous in the streets or whatever, but I'm not signing no autographs and all like that. And then I like this next part. This ought to be a lesson to youngsters who just don't get it yet, and they chose to go to street life and everything. This next part ought to be a lesson to you. So, let me go back again.
For me, makes me no autograph. I cussed it. Nightmares of capture, paranoid of surveillance phobia.
And the thing about it is, the line may go so smooth, but let me give a shout out to Ice-T on another thing too. Ice-T, this came out when it was not necessarily uncommon. It was slightly rare, but not uncommon for an album to come out and the lyrics will be listed in the album cover somewhere. You might pull out the sleeve of the album where the record was, and you have a list of lyrics, or you have a cassette tape and it unfolds, and then it unfolds, and it unfolds, and there are the lyrics to the songs. Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, people like that, they did that. They included their lyrics or whatnot. I don't know if it's for copyright reasons. I always thought it's for the fan to take a look at it. But most rappers didn't do that. Most rappers didn't want to be bit or they're like that. Of course, nowadays, most rappers are biting. That is, using other people's lyrics. But the thing about it, though, Ice-T was one of the rare few rappers who had his lyrics there. That's why I remember what he said. So he said he was being scared of getting captured. So he said, let me rewind. Let me rewind and it'll jog my memory. Hold on just a second.
For me, and for me, makes me no autograph. I cussed it. Nightmares of capture, paranoid of surveillance phobia.
So what he was saying, to have the money is a dreams, but nightmares of being captured, paranoia of surveillance, phobia of cameras. Those people that's on social media and they posting the crimes that they do, the guns that they do it with, and the drugs they sell, and the money they're making, and to this antithesis of what was going on back in the day. You know what I mean? People ought to be smarter and know better, but unfortunately it's not that way. So let's go back.
Nightmares of capture, paranoid of surveillance phobia of cameras. My bank's bigger, but so are my fears. Past records through players, little limited years, but I'm unlike the rest, known to be the best. Fast money, true.
Fast money, smooth players, little limited years. So he already know the consequences, right? He know that most people don't retire from this. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, he has a song in High Roads. I talked about it. He says very few live to retire. You know what I mean? But he said, but I'm unlike the best. What he say? I'm unlike the rest. I'm known to be the best. You see what I'm saying? So go back.
But I'm unlike the rest, known to be the best. Fast money, true wealth, my eternal quest. I hustle all night long. There ain't no gain in rest.
I hustle all night long. There ain't no gain in rest. But watch what happens next.
Close range bloods on my chest. I looked into his face. I thought he was my friend. My boy had set me up. This woman never been. No matter who you trust, you simply cannot win. It's always fun in the beginning, but it's pain.
So that's one of the consequences, right? He'd have been to jail already, you know what I'm saying, for robbing banks. Now he's coming out, he's selling dope. And look, got caught up. He got shot. But not just shot by anybody, though. Not necessarily by an op. But he was saying, I looked into his face. I thought he was my friend. My boy has set me up. This one will never mend. So what he's saying is, even if he survives it, the wound will never mend, because how crazy is that to get shot by your homeboy, or get shot because your homeboy set you up, or a family member or something like that? That one will never mend. You know what I mean? You might even become cool with that person again. You might forgive, but you don't necessarily forget. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like the wound, it will never mend. You know what I mean? So look, that's the second verse right there. And he's already talked about going to jail. This time he's talking about getting shot. You know what I'm saying? The best part, I guess, is that he didn't get killed, but I don't really want to get shot, though. You know what I'm saying? So look, let's go ahead and listen to the hook, and we're going to get to the third verse, because this way he really starts spitting. Might have to spend a night in solitary. That's what he said. It's not hard labor, though. It's not, it's talking about spending a night in solitary. It's pain, though. Whatever it is, it's pain. Okay. Let me go back just a little bit. This is a dope verse. If you think you heard it before, like 6 years later, Ice Cube hit the verse. You know, if you talk to O'Shea, if you talk to Mr. Jackson, he'll tell you, yeah, this is where he got it from on a song called Natural Born Killers. But what Ice-T starts off by saying, he says, gold rope wearer, neighborhood terror. You see what I'm saying? And remember, he got shot on the last verse by his homeboy. So the next line is, I can't hang her on my mother because she says I scare her. And the reason why I pointed that out, the Ice Cube took it, is because when it came out, to a lot of people, that was like a fresh verse. You know, I got a bro, my homeboy, who was like 2 years younger than me, probably never heard this song by Ice-T before. You know what I'm saying? Because when I heard it, I was 14, so that would put him at 11, 12. Might not necessarily been listening to it, definitely not analyzing the lyrics the way I did, and hadn't had a chance to look at the lyrics the way I did. You see what I'm saying? So that ought to be a word to a lot of people too. You know, as we're growing up and everything, we can't assume that everybody know what we know. You know what I'm saying? Most people haven't seen, a lot of people haven't heard or been through, don't know the people that you've been around, haven't read maybe even the books that you read, you know what I'm saying, and understand what you have went through, the way you've gone through it, you know what I mean? So let's exercise a little patience at times or whatever. So look though, let's go back to that verse, because I said it's one of the best verses in rap, really, because he just really breaks it down, you know what I'm saying? Let's get back to it.
No quit. Mine's in the money mode since I get to explode. Girlies on I scare, I got a light son. I can't hang around soldier.
So now take it back.
We're a neighborhood terror. Can't hang around my mother cause she says I scare. I got a light sunburn from too much poolside.
I got a light sunburn from too much poolside sick. That's when you on the upper echelon, you know what I'm saying, of hustling. You know what I mean? You ain't on the streets, hand to hand, as they used to call it. You know what I mean? Serving to the dope fiends. You're not pushing weight to the point where you're traveling around riding dirty, dropping off ounces or kilos to people. You living it to whereas you just having your people bringing it in and putting it out there, and you just making the money. You know what I'm saying? From too much. He said I got a suntan from too much poolside sick. You know what I mean? My folks is hitting me. I have to hit them back. It's flow and proof time.
Too much poolside sick. Cordless phone keeps me on cause I ain't no quitting.
Cordless phone keeps me on because there ain't no quitting. This is when cellular phones first came onto the scene, but you know, that's also when we had the cordless phones. Before that, you had a phone that was wired into the wall, you know what I'm saying? But he said, I got a cordless phone that keeps me on because it ain't no quitting. He ain't got no thoughts to stop doing what he doing as far as selling drugs.
Mine's in the money mode since I get to explode. Girlies on my Jimmy got a female overload.
Mine's in the money mode. He just thinking about straight getting money all the time, you know what I'm saying? It seems like it should explode. Because that's all he's thinking about is money, you know what I'm saying? The wheels are steady turning, you know what I mean? Girls on my jammy, girls on my jock, girls on my bumpers, girls just own me. You know what I'm saying? Girls on my jammy, I got a female overload. That's how he was living, you know what I mean? Real player stuff.
I'm street messiah, professional liar. 19 got a biz 21.
Professional liar. Yeah, no. Let me back up. I gotta give him his props. A young street messiah, professional liar. 19 got a Benz. At 19, I'm driving a Benz. At 21, I'll retire.
I retire. Crazy money ain't funny, sucker loving my job. But just some people at my door that didn't.
So look, here's the thing. Before as I go back, I'll take it back hopefully a little bit. He says at 21 I retire, but remember, maybe it's his maturity on high rollers. He says very few live to retire. You know what I'm saying? Now he talking about even the OGs. You know what I'm saying? So at this time, young and shall we say dumb or whatnot, he says at 19 I got a Benz. At 21 I'll retire. Going back.
19 got a Benz. 21 I'll retire. Crazy money ain't funny, sucker loving my job. But just some people at my door that didn't need.
He says crazy money ain't funny, suckers loving my job. But once again, that's been on my bumpers. That everybody on his team, everybody, you know, he's the man for everybody. You know what I mean? All his jokes is funny when he crack them. You know what I mean? When he walk in the room, all the girls is looking at him and everything. And he said, people loving my job. But there's a but right there, though. I'm gonna take it back. He said there's some people at my door that didn't even knock. Let's go back.
19 got a Benz. 21 I'll retire. Crazy money ain't funny, sucker loving my job. But just some people at my door that didn't even knock. Task force booming, dog in my crib out. Can't shout, FBI's got a gun in my mouth. Do me.
The people at the door is a task force. So remember he said they didn't even knock. And then he says task force booming and dogging my crib out. I can't shout because FBI's got a gun in my mouth. Once again, we talk about pain, the consequences of the lifestyle that he chose. You see what I'm saying? Again, Ice-T just don't get enough props as far as West Coast. If Eazy-E is the king, and I don't know how they listed. Ice-T got to be the Godfather, though. You know what I'm saying? Before everybody else was rapping really like this. Yeah, Short was hitting it, but Short was talking about it in other people's position. But Ice-T was saying it as if it's himself. But the thing about Short and Ice-T, about Ice Cube and Ice-T is that they always talked about the consequences, right? You listen to a lot of Cube's early verses, early songs. There's always somebody going to jail or somebody getting shot. Usually going to jail, though. You know what I'm saying? They ain't dying, they songs and like that. I think Scarface is probably the first one to talk about dying on the record. You know what I mean? But we'll get to that another time, another show.
Higher, crazy money ain't funny, sucker loving my job. But just some people at my door that didn't even knock. Task force booming, dog in my crib out. Can't shout, FBI's got a gun in my mouth. Do me on the floor, call my girl a whore.
He said he threw me on the floor and called my girl a whore. That's, you know, instead of saying H-O, he said W-H-O-R-E. You know what I mean? That's crazy, huh? The police is coming to your house, call her a whore, throw her to the side or whatever. And then he says they pulled 10 G's. I'm going to say it before he said, once again, pulled 10 G's out of my mattress and was looking for more. In other words, they know he the man, so 10,000, they not selling for that. You know what I mean? He called my girl a whore and pulled 10 G's out of my mattress and was looking for more. And I remember when he had the lyrics, he had the exclamation point on there, sort of like an Iceberg Slim movie or something like that, or a book or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just very, very graphic, very detailed in what he was saying, but he was breaking it down that even a little kid, matter of fact, I used to let my little cousin hear this song and they still could quote some of these lyrics, you know what I'm saying? But he was saying, looking for more. You know what I mean? This is action that's going on right here.
The G's out of my mattress and was looking for more. Crack myself with an axe, then it out to the map when they.
Ooh, speaking of action, almost. So look, he said they cracked my safe with an axe, then ill out to the max. They was tripping hard when they see my money kicking it, 20 G stacks. Woo! If that wasn't the bar, that's when them take the hat off things right there. You know what I'm saying? That's the moment to take the hat off. They cracked my safe. Remember, they threw me on the floor. They called my girl a whore. Pulled 10 G's out of my mattress between the bed, the top mattress and the bottom mattress, 10,000 in there, but they was looking for more. They cracked my safe with an axe. Fire! Then it out to the max when they see my money kicking it in 20 G stacks. Don't misunderstand what he's saying. 10,000 over here. Don't think that they just only found 20,000 over there. That's not what he's saying. He said they see my money kicking it in 20,000 stacks, 20 G stacks. They don't say how much it is. Could be a meal ticket or, you know what I'm saying, $1 million, whatever. But just to know that whatever amount of money it was stacks of $20,000. 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. They see my money kicking it in 20 G stacks. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's big time stuff right there. Back in 1986.
20 G stacks, put me on TikTok with bills of different amounts. To try to stuck like glue, some that I couldn't pronounce. They threw my ass the book, my life was surely took. Then they gave my girl 10 years for hanging out with a crook.
They threw me the book. That's an old school saying. What that means is when you go to jail, the judge threw the book at you. You know what I mean? In other words, you in trouble. There ain't nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? And he said, my life was surely took. You know what I mean? And they gave my girl 10 years for hanging out with a crook. Females ought to know that if you are part of that lifestyle or with somebody in that lifestyle, it ain't no, oh, she's a girl, let her go kind of thing jumping off. No. He said it gave his girl 10 years for hanging out with a crook. I think I missed a part of that bar. However, we're going to take it back a little bit and we're going to hear it once again.
When they see my money kicking it in 20 G stacks, put me on TikTok with bills of different amounts. To try to stuck like glue, some that I couldn't pronounce. They threw my ass the book, my life was surely took. Then they gave my girl 10 years for hanging out with a crook. She played the game herself, fast lane, quick wealth. No respect for the law or the city's health. The sweat of her.
I like that. He said she played the game herself, fast lane, quick wealth. No respect for the law or the city's health. You know what I mean? And, you know, last time that's just the mindset about it, you know. And keep in mind, too, I remember reading something a long time ago. I know most people ain't read what I read, so I'm going to share it with you. But the brother was saying how he had went to jail for selling dope. And what he found out when he was in there is that he went to jail for selling dope, but he didn't go to jail for selling dope. It's because he was hurting the city, you know what I'm saying, by selling drugs, putting the city at danger, which is why he said, Ice-T said, no respect for the law of the city's health. But also what he was saying was that it wasn't that he was making money selling dope. It's that he was making money selling dope and wasn't paying taxes. So that means that also hurt the city as well because they're not able to collect taxes off all the money he making, which a lot of times maybe more than the city that they was making it in. So look, I'm about to go ahead and sign off. We're finna listen to Ice-T, and the thing about it, you would think you'd learn this lesson, but you're gonna hear his rant at the end of the song that he didn't. But again, it ought to be a lesson to youngsters and particularly OGs that heard this. Y'all heard the song before, but hopefully I broke it down in a way that you can understand it just a little bit better. And again, I'm asking you to like and subscribe if you feel that way. Definitely leave me a comment, or maybe it's a point that I missed or something like that. But at the same time, though, drop me a couple of songs that you want to flow and improve, that you want to be able to go back and take a look, listen to, take a look at it just a little bit closer so we can see whatever that artist is talking about. So this is DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay. I then went to LA with this one, Ice-T, Pain. And we're winding it back just a little bit. Matter of fact, we're going to do that whole verse and let it roll.
Shout, FBI's got a gun in my mouth. Threw me on the floor. Team got a bit overload. Young street messiah, male overload. This phone keeps me on cause I ain't no quit. I scare, I got a light, son. Too much sights. This phone keeps me on. Error, neighborhood terror. Can't hang around my mother cause she says I scare. I got a light, son. But too much sights. This phone keeps me on cause I ain't no quit. Mine's in a money mode, see like it's to explode. Curly's on my jammy, got a female overload. Young street messiah, professional liar. 19, got a bill, 21, I'm retired. Crazy money, it ain't funny, sucking love in my job. But there's some people at my door that didn't even knock. Task force booming, dog in my crib now. I can't shout, FBI's got a gun in my mouth. Threw me on the floor, call my girl a whore. Pulled 10 G's out of my mattress and was looking for more. Cracked her with the axe, then they left to the mat. When they see my money kicking it in 20 G stacks, put me on their account with bills of different amounts. They tried to stuck like glue, some that I couldn't pronounce. They threw my ass the book, my life was surely took. Then they gave my girl 10 years for hanging out with a crook. She played the game herself, fast lane, quick wealth. No respect for the law or the city's health. The sweat of hustlers' greed is that reserved for men. It's always fun in the beginning, but it's pain. When I get out of here, I'ma get right back in the money. Cause they don't know that I know what time it is, you see. I done learned
sure he said that when he got out of jail for robbing banks too. Peace, y'all. DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay.